6th African Conference on Sexual and Reproductive Health and Rights in Yaoundé, Cameroon. And we're looking at a theme that seeks to eliminate the vulnerabilities of young girls and women, particularly to sexual and reproductive health and rights. And for that reason, we are highlighting several issues that are pertinent to achieving that objective. We had looked at the implications of addressing sexual and reproductive health and rights issues, particularly when you want to harness the demographic dividend for Africa's development. When we talk about a demographic dividend, we are referring to that one-time jump, that acceleration of economic growth and development which you would have as a consequence of a reduction in the ratio of productive to dependent population, where you have a larger concentration of productive people as against the dependent population. This happens when you have a demographic transition, where you have reductions in fertility with reductions in mortality, to the point where you have a huge cohort of working age population available to stimulate economic development, progress and prosperity. However, at the point where we are at the African continent, we have reduced fertility. We have also been able to reduce significantly mortality, but we have not reached the point where we would have that demographic transition. And so it's important for us to speed up reductions in fertility by ensuring that women have the number of children they want, they have the means to be able to manage their own fertility, and have a greater control over when, how, and when to get pregnant. We should also be able to have reductions in mortality. In doing this, it requires that we provide access to sexual and reproductive health and rights in its fullest form to all citizens, male and female. And this would allow us move towards that position where we have that productive population, and it would then be important for us to make the necessary investments in the social space. Investments in education to ensure that that working productive cohort has the skills and the competencies necessary to participate in the knowledge economy. We need to invest in agriculture because there's evidence on the continent that chronic undernutrition contributes to significant economic losses. We need to ensure there's food and nutrition security. We need to invest in health. Africa is at a point where it continues to experience a heavy burden of infectious diseases, which is being superimposed upon by an equally growing concern about non-communicable diseases. So our health system should be able to respond to it. We need to have employment for young people, decent employment, providing opportunities for young people to actively engage in productive economy, as well as ensuring government is accountable, policies are coherent. And all of this working together will then help each country to harness that demographic dividend. The evidence available suggests it happens once in a generation. Africa is at that point where with positive action we can tip our countries towards the demographic profile necessary to stimulate the demographic dividend. We're also at a point where the world as a whole is looking at defining for itself an agenda after 2015, which is the terminal dates that have been set for the MDGs. Africa, as part of the global community, is also looking to define its priorities and add its voice to that global dialogue and global agenda process, such that whatever agenda is set by the entire world has concrete meaning for Africa and also helps Africa to attain its own development objectives. We have reviewed the ICPDR 20 operational process with challenges which continue to confront sexual and reproductive health and rights on the African continent. And what we want to be able to do from this conference is to highlight some of the gaps that may have come out through the ICPD operational review process and begin to engage our member states, our continent leaders, to ensure that these issues are taken into consideration, that when African leaders endorse a position, talking about Africa's priorities to the global community, that position properly highlights those issues that continue to underpin our challenges with regards to sexual and reproductive health and rights. We must ensure we empower the girl child, empower the woman and reduce their vulnerabilities to sexual and reproductive health challenges. We need to ensure we provide skills the adequate combination of skill sets for young people, for them to be productively engaged in economic activity. We need to ensure our policies are coherent, and all of these issues must tie together in such a way that Africa defines for itself a global agenda within the overall framework of what the African Union is currently doing, setting for itself in Vision 2063. The African Union is 50 years now, and it's setting its vision for the next 50. It's important that whatever Africa wants to achieve, sexual and reproductive health and rights needs to be guaranteed in such a way that Africans are able to enjoy the fullest quality of life and contribute meaningfully to economic development and progress. Thank you.